Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So this is part 3 in the series on the Watts' income and debt. For this video, I'm going to try to address some of the most pressing questions that so many of you seem to have about the first two videos that you want to know why I either didn't address them, why I skipped past them, or why the numbers didn't quite add up. And for the latter part of that, that would be more my fault for not really addressing it. And let me get into that now. And thank you, before we start here, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate each and every one of you leaving a comment and being here to want to learn more about the Watts' finances and income. Okay, so the first question I got the most of was, why didn't I address their mortgage, and why didn't I address what their monthly payment was on the home? And that is for good reason. First off, the bank in the actual who's actually has the mortgage now and who is selling the home at auction, when and if they ever do, they wouldn't release that information to me or to the other people who are helping me investigate this entire case and put this information together. They would tell us, and they only told us the following: when the mortgage came out, how much was owed on the house, what the interest rate was, and that's it. And so we had to go with that. Now, there are what you can find these online. There are about 1 million different companies out there that do this service. They offer what's called a monthly mortgage calculator. And you take the price of a home. Let's just use the Watts' home for example, since we're talking about it. The home was being sold to them originally for $393,000. That was the sale price of the home that they bought at. You take that and you put it into the monthly mortgage calculator. You figure out, okay, then you have to know what their credit rating was. But for our example, what we did was we said they don't have medium credit. They have, let's just say that they have excellent credit. So they would have gotten closer to the prime rate of the actual loan, what the bank was offering, instead of them raising the interest rates on them. And let's just say from Shannon's home that she had back home, that she sold that, and when they bought the house, they put 15% down to cover the down payment on the home and all closing costs, assuming that the seller of the home, original seller of the home, was not going to cover any of the closing costs at all, that the Watts had to pay for it, which is actually normal. Now, I understand, and I got the idea right away from the actual comment section. A lot of you who were commenting about that have never purchased anything more than maybe a beater car, because you didn't, as people tried to help me explain to you about interest rates, down payment, purchasing, closing costs, you guys just didn't get it at all. So I know you've never purchased a home. I've purchased quite a few of them in my lifetime, and there are a lot of fees and things that are associated with buying a home that you don't really necessarily think about: appraisals, inspections, and so on and so forth. That add up to the cost of purchasing a home. And let's just figure again, going back to it, staying on topic, that they put 15% down to cover all the costs plus down payment and everything else. Okay, so the bank said that there was about almost $24,000 that had come off of the total from the time that they purchased a home. You take the total number of months that they were in the home from when they purchased it to what was owing on the home. That you divide that by the total number of months and what had been paid, and that comes to about $1,865 a month. Is about what their payment would have been every single month, figuring that they got close to the prime rate and they put 15% down. By looking at their actual finances and everything else, giving a little leeway, We figured somewhere between 17 on the low end and 19 at the high end would be their monthly payment on the home. And I deducted, along with a forensic accountant who helped me out with this, we went through and we said, okay, we're going to go to the high end. We're just going to figure $1,900 a month that we're going to deduct from their actual finances for what they were paying on a home. Again, if you take the total, what was owed and versus what they paid for the home, and you deduct it by the total number of months, it comes to about $1,865 a month. So 1,900 isn't that much of a stretch. Maybe they had some upkeep, or whatever. I don't know. But you figured $1,900. And why? Again, did I not address it? Again, for to put this to all the rest, I have no documentation from the bank that told me the actual monthly mortgage payment. And I have nothing that I've been able to find online that actually says what their actual monthly mortgage payment is. I've never seen a check. I don't think they paid by check. I think they paid by direct deposit, transfer. A lot of people do it. I do it. It's so much easier. Now, what did their monthly payment cover? The monthly payment covered the three things: insurance on the home, the actual mortgage itself, and the taxes on the home. Because so many people were wondering, how also did they pay the taxes on the home without being evicted from the home if they didn't have any money left over? That one payment every month, they said, okay, here is your payment that goes to the escrow company, and they pay the property, the taxes, and the insurance out of that, and then the rest of it goes to the bank. That's how I do it. It's how, I'm guessing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people do it. It's just so much easier to do it that way. And we don't have to worry about it. You don't have to make three payments. You just make one. So, moving on to the next item. That was so much of a stickler for people. Christopher Watts Professional Gear. Now, I had listed Christopher Watts' professional gear on here, and I said it was $1,716 a year approximately. How did I possibly come up with that number? That is such a huge number to so many people out there. Have you ever bought a pair of Red Wing boots? I have. Have you ever bought a pair of professional work boots? I have. I'm telling you right now, you could probably get away with buying a pair of ones from Walmart for $19. They may last you 3 months. Or you could buy a pair of Red Wings, or comparable ones, and they might last you 5 years. You have to buy, quality if you want it to last. You can buy one for $19 at Walmart, but it ain't going to last you very long because they're going to fall apart. He had to buy his own boots, his own hats, and he had to wear clothing. He couldn't show up naked just wearing gloves and boots. All right, he had to wear pants and shirts. These are things you have to wear, and he isn't going to want to wear them out in public after he's been working around, petroleum all day long. It's wear and tear. So we figured, okay, he's going to need so many pairs of pants per year, so many work shirts per year, and the company provided professional shirts and stuff like that, and some protective items, and they also provided him safety gear, goggles, respirator masks, and stuff like that for when they had to do repairs inside the tanks. But Chris didn't do that. That wasn't really necessarily his job description. He was a pump tech, as they call it in the industry. Now, I spoke with not one, like I told you in the original videos, I spoke with people who worked with Chris, people who worked in that industry for other companies. I spoke with a lot of people before I said, okay, and I asked them, how much do you pay for your boots? How much do you pay for your clothing? What do you think your overall, costs are per year? And those people told me that some of them spent as little as $900 a year on clothing, and at the high end was $3,200. So I shot at 17, 16, and we all agreed, for those who were working on it, we said, okay, that sounds like a good number because, giving the average, we, across the board. But he had to buy his own work clothes and his own work boots and and gloves. He had to. That was on him. He didn't have to. I guess he could have gotten away with a $19 pair of boots. He could have gotten away with the 99 store gloves, but they would have fallen apart, and then he would have been buying. In the long run, he would have spent more money. So that's where his professional gear is. Moving on. Next, comment that I saw the most of was about their bankruptcy and their supposed debt. And yes, thank you for those who actually messaged me privately by email and said that you and here's a link to someone who wrote an article saying that the Watts were $400,000 in debt. And that's true. They owed $330,000 on a home, and they had about $70,000 in debt. What did I figure that their total debt was? That's about what we spent 3 months doing the research on this. What we came up with. It adds to the same thing. But thank you again for the links and telling me that they were $400,000 in debt, and that I was wrong, and that I need to do my research better, because I was wrong and I was a giant piece of asterisk T. Next one that I saw the most of is, why are you picking and bullying this poor family? They can't defend themselves. Well, to answer that quickly, and thank you for all 64 people who liked that comment, I'm not bullying the family. I am far from bullying anybody, by reporting on this case and this topic. I am reporting on this because people wanted to know. And as you can see from the actual first 2 videos, the sheer number of people who have watched it just on YouTube in that time frame, more than double that have watched it on Twitter, a private website, and on Facebook. Bullying. They're not vulnerable. One is deceased and the other one is never getting out of prison. I'm not victimizing the family. I'm not bullying the family. And by you and the other people who liked that comment and agreed with you and said, yeah, go for it, go at them, I don't care. You're not going to get underneath my skin about this, because I'm not bullying them. I know who I am, and I know what I was doing is right. Next one that I got the most of was Shanann dressing her girls and herself to the nines. Wow, did so many people like this one. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about there. Okay, did the girls dress extraordinary? No. And if you actually do a little research, you'll find that a lot of what the girls were wearing is clothing that comes from Target. I'm not joking. A lot of their clothing came from Target. And you can actually find certain outfits that she had Bella in, and that look like they came right off of the store displays in Target. I don't know where you thought she was shopping for clothing for her 2 girls, but I don't see that anywhere. Do you see anything in the home that's gold plated Nintendo DS's, diamond earrings and tiaras? I don't see it. And as far as the girls go, I'm going to set this aside for a second, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I have a daughter. She's now an adult, but when she was younger, and my little princess, I would have spent everything I had to make her feel better about herself and to give her the best in this world. And is that wrong for Shanann to love her children and want them to have the very best in life. Is that what you're trying to say? That she shouldn't have treated her children as nice as she should have, that she did? Because that's probably the most awful thing you could probably say about someone who was murdered and had her children murdered. Yeah. Did Shanann dress to the nines? I don't see it. I've been through every one of her photos on her social media. I don't see it anywhere at all on her social media of her dressing to the nines. I don't see it at all. Did she like fashion? What person doesn't? I mean, I may not be the most fashionable, but this is how I dress. I dress like a bum. Does it mean I'm poor? Does it matter? My wife likes to dress nice. Does it mean that she is buying, things from the high-end store? Or is she buying things from a more reasonable store that are fashionable? Because that's what I see Shanann wearing in what she's in most of her posts. I don't know how the blue jeans and a t-shirt or a nice blouse is dressing to the nines, but so many of you believe that she was spending extraordinary. And when it comes to anybody who overspent in a household, I would think that there is enough evidence out there with just social media posts that suggest, and what's in the documentation and in the discovery and the video of the officer's chest cam when it came into the home, that Christopher Watts was the one who overspent. His own admission was to the officers, I don't have access to the bank account because I have overspent. Again, how's that Shanann? He didn't say, we've overspent. We blew our money. No, he said, I overspent. I mean, we all know he's an habitual liar. We have to take what he has to say with a grain of salt. But did he overspend in the past? More likely than Shanann. I mean, Shanann wasn't spending money on a mister, a little side piece of beefcake. She was spending her money on herself and her daughters and her soon-to-be born son. Chris was carrying on with his friends, going by his own admission to Colorado Rockies baseball games without his family, and he had a whore. So who was spending more money? I'm not going to convince you. I know that. The people out there who say these things on the internet, I know you're going to believe whatever you want to believe. You've already made up your mind. I could lay it all out here on a table if I had all their actual bills, and you still wouldn't believe it. In the 3 months that we worked on this, we knew from the moment we started on it, we knew that so many of you were going to say, you know what, it's not true. It's not true. I don't believe it. Even if I showed you and sent you the actual documentation, we knew you weren't going to believe it. And that, to us, we're okay with. Because we can't convince you, and we're not trying to convince you. We're just laying out a case here of what their income and their debt was. And we're not getting into the rest of it. Moving on. For the 174 of you who said that Shanann never made more than $20,000 in income in a single year for herself as take-home, selling Lavelle, I feel truly, truly, from the bottom of my heart, I feel truly sorry for every single one of you. I really do. I just cannot understand how you can figure that she never made and took home more than $20,000 in sales. on Shannon's social media post. She was proud and she talked about making it to the 100K, the gold club in sales. She sold $100,000 worth of Lavelle products in a 12-month period. Do you think for a second that she would sell $100,000 worth of Lavelle to her friends, her family, and everybody that she knew? She had to get them signed up or on that meal ticket plan somehow. Do you think she did that? Sold and made $100,000 for Lavelle and was happy taking home only $20,000 for herself? How long do you think she would have done that? Do you think she would have went back to work the next day and said, you know what, 80,000 for them, 20,000 for me. I'm okay with that. Let's go to work again. Let's go on another trip where she just came back from before Chris killed her. Do you think she would have done that? Do you want more proof besides her social media that she made more than $20,000 for herself and that she made the 100K club? How about the fact that when she made the 100K club, her and Chris together went to the local Lexus dealership and picked out the SUV that was in her garage. The SUV that only she drove because it was hers, because she earned every bit of it. It was her success. Do you think Lavelle would pay the yearly lease payment, the upkeep, the oil changes, and all of the other costs, and the insurance on that vehicle if she didn't make the 100K and she was making more for herself than $20,000 a year? Do you really think that she would have been okay with, you know what, lease me a car? I mean, at $20,000 a year, I'm good at poverty. No. She made $100,000 a year. How much did it break down to? Well, according to everyone that I spoke with, who has either been a Lavelle sales agent before or worked beneath her in some capacity and knew her professionally, or maybe they weren't underneath her, they were underneath somebody else, but they knew and they know about the structure of Lavelle and the pyramid scheme that they are. It works out like this. She would have gotten a little bit of upfeed from the people she had signed up from below her, people she had signed up and the people that they had signed up. That's how the money works. It trickles up. It never trickles down. On $100,000 in income, she would have seen right around $60,000 to $65,000. And I had her down one second. Get to the right page here. I have her down as making $62,000. Those with actual information, knowledge of Lavelle and the corporation and how it works and the upfeed said that she would have made between $60,000 and $65,000. I have her down at $62,000. Again, $100,000 for the company, $62,000 for herself, but she had $27,000 worth of inventory. That's $27,000 worth of inventory that she could have sold and made $27,000 back on, or increased the price of it and then sold it and made more. That's how it works. They are constantly buying actual supplies to sell. They buy low, sell high, just like I said before, just like the stock market. Next, moving on. Why hasn't the home sold? It has nothing to do with Shannon, has nothing to do with Chris. It's up to the bank and what they are trying to get for the home. They just don't feel that the time right now in the marketplace is the time to sell the home. They want to sell the home. They want to get it off their books. If they can find somebody who will give them what they want, they could sell it to an investor who could then hold on to it and then sell it later on. Will they bulldoze the home? No. You will never see someone bulldoze a $600,000 home so they can turn it into a park, like some of you suggested, or a playground, or anything else. Yeah, it'd be nice if they did something to memorialize the family who died there, but they're not going to. And there are, again, I shouldn't have to tell you this, but there are actual real estate agents out there who specialize in just selling homes that are like this, where somebody was murdered in them. Thank you for joining me.